Egbeta, correspondent in Ghana, joins us once again. Eric, I hope this time it is network will be good to us. Just brief us on the latest death toll in Ghana.
Right, so sorry about that. 34 is the number that's been confirmed, and I've been speaking to officials of the Ghana National Park Service who've been frontal in terms of having to deal with rescue operations, as well as officials of the National Disaster Management Organization, who are all very emphatic that despite the 34 number, particularly in the capital, Accra, which number was put at 12, that is going to go well beyond the 12 number, which adds up to the national tally of 34. Now, what we also understand is of the many things which is expected is the 350 million cedis which the government has released to assist in terms of helping with post-flood mitigation as well. That money has been made available to officials of the National Disaster Management Organization who have already begun work. And so the expectation is that a lot more of the bodies which were lost in some of the flood waters and some of the major drains, amongst many other things, will be discovered. But for now, officials are going with the figure of 34. But when you speak to the persons who are directly involved in terms of the rescue operations in the aftermath and are seeking to help with the retrieval of bodies, they tell us that a lot more persons have succumbed to the floods because bodies are still missing and families are going around in search of these bodies today.
And how much of this disaster is due to natural rainfall versus human factors like poor drainage and urban expansion?
Well, a lot of it, Lulu, if we're being honest, is down to human activity. Here's why. Post the flooding, on Friday, the government taxed an anti-flood mitigation task force to begin operations to prevent a similar flooding in the capital. Now, they went around, took aerial shots of wetlands which had existed prior to 2026, and as far back as 2022, 2000, as far back as 2002, 2000, and what you discover is that areas which naturally were designated as wetlands, which stored excess runway water, have all been developed into residential areas, which means when the rain comes, and we must be honest that the rainwaters which came down was the highest recorded in about 2 decades. It means that in conjunction with a lot of human activities in terms of completely eradicating wetlands in very vital areas, means the runway water will make its way into homes and other activities. The government has said they are going to go on a very stringent operation to ensure the desilting of drains and the pulling down of residential buildings which have been built in waterways. That is the aggressive nature in which the government says they are going to tackle this because it has persisted for far too long. And so, down to human activity greatly, but we must also say that the flood waters were the highest ever in terms of the rainfall measure, the highest ever in about 2 decades, which, when put together, results in calamity as witnessed exactly a week ago.
And how are displaced families coping in temporary shelters, and what conditions are they facing?
It's been rough. It's been difficult. A number of them have had to do with churches where mattresses have been provided for them. We've been speaking to some of the municipal chief executives who are in charge of the local assemblies, who tell us that some of the persons have been moved into hotels as temporary shelter, and others are providing accommodation for them. A huge chunk of the initially released 350 million cedis, which makes up about $30 million by estimation, has gone into purchasing or bringing immediate relief to a number of these persons. And so there's been bags of rice which have been distributed, bottles of water, and as well as sachet water to help them. A number of the persons tell us they've lost everything. They are having to start from scratch. They do not even have apparels they can put on outside of what it is that they are wearing. And so the immediate intervention has been to address those, even as efforts are underway to assess some of the buildings which were completely immersed by floodwaters to understand if they are still habitable, and then they can be cleaned for persons to return. For some, they were lucky. The houses were not completely submerged, and so they've been undertaking cleanup exercises, but it has come at great personal cost because at this point in time, stock is yet to be taken as to the number of persons who've been affected before interventions can come through from government in terms of financial aid. And so we're seeing lots of people having to cough up funds they do not readily have to clean their homes, repair their shops, and a host of others. It's been a difficult last week for a number of persons in the capital. And I have personal colleagues who've not turned up at work because their houses were inundated by floodwaters. I was speaking to one this morning who was telling me they had just finished cleaning yesterday. Since Monday, they just finished cleaning yesterday, and they are seeking to repair portions of their building which was broken down as well. That speaks to the magnitude of loss and how it has hit pockets as well directly since Monday.
Well, Erica, thank you so much for joining us on Africa Update. We'll leave it there for today.
As always, a pleasure, Lulu.
Thank you, Erica. That's our correspondent in Ghana, Mawuena Egbeta, joining us on the line.
Africa Update.